Baseball in the Boroughs, presented by Verizon. The Mets dropped the last game of their 6-game homestand, 8-5 loss to the Rockies on Sunday. Now they head into the All-Star break, and they're right in the thick of the wild card race in the National League. So we're going to talk some Mets baseball. Let's do it with the host of the Subway to Shea podcast, my guy Anthony Rivera, who joins me now. Anthony, how are you doing? I have a feeling that as a Mets content creator, you must be ready for this All-Star break.
Yeah, it's nice to get a little bit of break in, especially after the loss Sunday. But hey, they had a 5-1 homestand, and I'm not taking that away from them. A good homestand for the Mets and a good way to go into the break with a wild card spot.
Yeah, I think most Mets fans, most rational Mets fans would have signed up for 5-1 in terms of a homestand heading into the break, and that's what they got. But Anthony, the Mets pitching staff took a beating on Sunday, allowing 6 homers. Jose Quintana, he was bitten by the home run bug again. What's your assessment of what we've seen from Mets pitching in this first half of the season?
The good, the bad, and the ugly. It's been, such a interesting roller coaster that this pitching staff has been on. You talk about the first month of the season where the starting pitching couldn't go more than 5 innings, in which pretty much depleted the bullpen, and this is where we're at right now. You look at the ERA for this team, they're 22nd at a 4.23 ERA. They're top 10 in strikeouts, but their big problem is the walks. They are second in giving up walks, and that's hurt them. The walks, the long ball, and it's made for a very, very, very rough time for this pitching staff. Hopefully they can pick it up in the second half.
Yeah, Mets fans want to see them pick it up in the second half, and if they can maybe add some arms, especially for that bullpen as well, too. We'll see what happens there. Now, Pete Alonso, on Sunday, he looked ready for the home run derby. He hit his 19th homer, first one since July 2nd. He's the Mets' lone representative at the All-Star game, but he's had down numbers in the first half of the season. Do you expect the Polar Bear to heat up after the Midsummer Classic?
I sure hope so. We need a polar bear that's going to carry this team on his back like most of the rest of the offense has done. Throughout this entire season, we've seen spurts of it from Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo, even J.D. Martinez. You look at the stats here for Alonso, 19 homers, 51 RBIs, he's batting .240, not too bad, right? But you look at the last 30 games, and he's only had 5 home runs. That's not really polar bear-like from Pete Alonso. So we hope that, he has a lot of fun here at the All-Star game and at the home run derby, and maybe that, picks him up a little bit because he just seems very tense. He just seems very tight right now. He needs to loosen up a bit. We need the old polar bear back.
Okay, Anthony, we'll see what Pete can do in the second half and if he can heat up. But we talked about this at the top. The Mets, they couldn't complete the sweep of the Rockies. They went 5-1 this week, though. They entered the All-Star break at 49-46. So how do you grade the Mets' first half, and what are you going to be keeping your eye on with this team when we get back after the break?
I think with everything we've seen from this team, from the beginning with the struggles to now this team being 3 games over 500 and in a possession of a wild card spot, I think for right now, I'm going to give them a B- on the first half of the season. And things to look out for, this is a huge next couple of weeks for this team. It will determine their direction when it comes to the trade deadline. Now, we heard Brandon Nimmo talk to David Stearns and saying you got to be buyers. He even said it during postgame that the Mets should be buyers. They got to prove it on the field, right? Right now, 3 games over 500 is good. They're in a position for a wild card spot, which is great as well. Keep that up. I said if the team was 5 games over 500 and within 2 or 3 games of a wild card spot, that this team should be buyers. And right now they look like buyers. They got to get this bullpen in order. I don't know what you got to do, whether it is maybe even do it internally with getting Tyler McGill up in here pitching multiple innings. It's worked for Jose Budo and Daniel Nunez. Or maybe they even go dip in and bring in Brandon Sproat from the minors. He was at the Futures game. There was talks about him possibly getting into that bullpen. That's a way to get these guys up into the major leagues and seeing what they got, because the Mets really need to fix this bullpen if they're going to be a contender for the wild card.
All right, so keep your eyes on what the Mets can do at the trade deadline, as well as how they can fix some of their bullpen issues. But if you're a Mets fan, where they were at the end of May and where they are now, 3 games above 500 and in playoff positioning, you got to be pretty happy heading into the break. That is Anthony Rivera, the host of the Subway to Shea podcast. Check him out there. Anthony, enjoy the break, get some relaxation, and I'll talk to you when we get back from the Midsummer Classic.
Appreciate you as always, Dexter.